We'll tie all this together in just a moment, but first of all, just to bring you up to speed, you probably already know this, but 22 people were shot at a parade in Kansas City. Kansas City Chiefs celebration after the Super Bowl, and of those 22 who were shot, they say at least half of them were kids. One of the individuals who was shot was Lisa Lopez. She was a young woman, an adult. She was apparently, according to reports, a disc jockey. She had a radio show called Taste of Tijuana. Yes, disc jockeys still exist, and she is proof. She lost her life. Two groups of people. I'm guessing these were young people, and they were having some kind of a dispute, and you got to ask yourself, you got to wonder, why were they there? What's going on with these people psychologically, mentally? Well, first of all, we have to, as we dig down deep and we try to come to terms with what's going on in America, we have to realize that, and this is the first thing that comes to my mind, is we are in denial. That is to say, there are so many things the media is not reporting because it's politically incorrect to talk about these things. So we're just left not knowing. We're left, again, in denial of the media, and we are told that that's the way it's supposed to be. But we don't know who these groups were. Other than photographs that we happen to see, we have no idea what they look like, what they talk like, what their names were. Certainly, we don't know their ages. The shooters, we kind of sort of know their ages because the media can't release their names because they're so young. Apparently, they're teenagers, or teens, as we like to call them today. So the first thing we realize about this is that we are in a perpetual state of denial. Denial of what? Well, we have a problem in parts of our country. Urban jungles is what I prefer to call them. That's been the term for a very long time. I didn't make it up. And people are behaving like savages. People? Are we sure they're humans? Yeah, I guess they are. What is it about these people that make them do things like this? You know, just they're having a dispute. They take out guns and they start shooting, apparently randomly, that or they're extremely bad shots. Or maybe it's a combination of both. I mean, if there were 22 people hit, how many bullets were actually fired? Maybe 3 times that many. The media didn't say. I'm guessing the police are investigating, and they will probably come up with a count. We found X amount of bullets or shells from the shooting. But what we're saying is that these individuals have something about them that make them different. But you know, in the current political social climate, we're not supposed to even acknowledge differences, even though they obviously exist. So what is different about these people? These people who commit mass shootings? Well, it appears to me that, number one, they have low IQs. They're not too bright. And you don't know. These could be Einsteins out there. Pulling the trigger to hurt people, innocent people, not even thinking or caring if anyone else gets hurt other than the intended target or the supposed intended target. And what does that tell us about them? Well, not only do they appear to be, let's just say it's stupid, but they seem to lack empathy. So, number one, they're not real bright. Number two, they lack empathy. They don't care if somebody gets hurt. They don't care if somebody gets killed. If a random person like Lisa Lopez loses her life, they don't care. You know what that is? That is a lack of empathy. Now, some people will say, and they may be correct, they'll say, where are their parents? If these kids were brought up properly, they wouldn't be doing this. And again, we know they're kids because the media won't release their names. Well, I've got an answer to that, and the answer is, where are their parents? Well, typically, and I don't know who these people are, so I can't be definitive about this, but typically, their parents were just like them. In other words, if these shooters have kids, and their kids go out and commit some unspeakable crime, literally unspeakable. We can't say much about it because the media won't say much about it. And we will ask the question, where are their parents? And we'll say, well, their parents were the ones who shot up a parade in Kansas City. Okay, so the shooters. Where are their parents? Chances are And again, I gotta re-emphasize, I don't know who these people are, so I can't be definitive, but their parents probably were just like them. They're just older, maybe 20, 30 years older. But if you go back 20, 30 years, you probably see they were engaged in similar behavior. They just didn't get shot. Okay, well, where are their parents? The shooter's grandparents. Same answer, just like them. In other words, this is transgenerational. So we have to ask ourselves now, is this environment or is it, the nature-nurture thing? Is it environment that they were brought up in, their home life, their neighborhood? And if so, whose fault is that? Well, it's your fault, it's my fault, according to the far woke left. But we need to drill down a little bit further than that and say, well, why is this culture embracing this type of behavior, and why is it transgenerational? Good pass. We can, if we're good little socialist Marxists, we can say, well, it's because they're oppressed. And who is oppressing them? Well, it's us. And if you hear that knocking, that's my microphone cable. Get this thing out of the way. It's because they are oppressed. Well, I'm going to pose another possibility that the reason that these people have this type of a culture that they are immersed in and they can't seem to escape from, after generations. Some of them do escape, so we know it is escapable. But some of them don't escape, even though it is escapable. So we have to ask this question: could it possibly have something to do with Watson and Crick? Who are Watson and Crick? Well, they're the ones who discovered fundamentally they discovered DNA and how it's structured. So could it be that these people are programmed by nature to behave this way? What are we talking about? We're talking about low IQ, low impulse control, and a lack of empathy. Just a weird social outcome from those natural traits. Well, the answer is, do we know? I don't know. Because we're not allowed to even ask the question, let alone study it, let alone research it. But what we do know is the behavior persists. There are some parts of any city in America that you will not venture into if you have any brains. The woke left, they have brains, they just don't use them. Some of them do. So they may venture into those areas and they don't come out many times. So we have to come to grips, we have to come to terms with reality. We got to, but we're not doing it. And the reason we're not doing it, effectively, in my opinion, is because we all are victims of gaslighting. That is to say, we are made to feel like there's something wrong with us because these people are behaving badly. They're behaving criminally. People are dying. People are getting hurt. 22 people wounded. At least half of those kids, they're going to face that for the rest of their lives. And we're just going to pretend, well, it's a news story. We're over it. Let's move on to the next one. There's one more thing I notice about this, and that is, why are people coming to America? If we have this type of crime and it's so prevalent and so consistent and it seems to be getting worse, why are people risking their lives to climb over the wall? I call them uninvited guests, to immerse themselves in this environment. And the answer is because it's better than the environment they're coming from. Okay, we're kind of tying two concepts here together. The people who climb over the border, uninvited guests, I call them. And random shootings. But are they tied together? Are they really divorced one from another? Is it conceivably possible that when people come from those cultures, talking Central, South America in the United States, and by and large Northern Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa in Europe, is it conceivably possible that when large masses of people flee from violent cultures, even more violent than America, that some of them, not all of them, are bringing the violence with them? And I got to tell you, just to be honest, if I were living in Central or South America, and I could enhance my life just by climbing over a wall, I'd be climbing over the wall. I mean, I would have climbed over the wall probably, I almost said centuries, I'm not that old, decades ago. So I'm not blaming the so-called migrants or the uninvited guests. There seems to be a policy. So yeah, we can tie these two things together. If you got something out of this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Very small channel. I still have the ability to read and comment on and reply rather to every comment that's left. So subscribe, leave a comment if you want to add something to the story. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media, and we'll see you all next time.